And it's time to wrap this broadcast up with the Alderson's Award West postgame show. For trophies, awards, T-shirts, and so much more, go to aldersons.net for their full catalog. And welcome back to Tumwater Stadium here. I'm Josh Kaiser alongside, I was doing so good all night, Keith Clark and Gary Clark. Thank you. And for those watching live or on demand, if you're watching this postgame show in the if you're watching this postgame show in the recap on Eli Sports Network, here is exactly what happened tonight. And the first quarter, there was a lot of feeling out between these two squads. A little bit of penalties both sides, and maybe some early game jitters. Saw some very early penalties, a couple of mistakes, and then when Tumwater got that first touchdown there to get the scoring underway with the Ryan Otten 39 touchdown reception, it was all T-Birds, and they didn't look back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the running game, I mean, it looked so much better than it did last week. Again, kind of hard to say that with a 56-6 win, but it just seemed so much more crisp this week. The execution for the line was a lot better, and the running backs were hitting the holes incredibly hard and scoring and finishing on those plays. Even despite the penalties they had early, both teams were able to correct that. And like you said, after that first touchdown, it was all Tumwater after that. Capital came out, gave them their best shot, and threw their biggest punches at first. And Tumwater was able to withstand them, and you got a 42-0 ball game.
And how did we get those other 35 points? Well, I'll give a quick rundown for you. So, again, the scoring underway there, of course, as we said, is Ryan On with the 39-yard touchdown reception. And then Peyton Hoyt would find Pater with 4:06 remaining in the first quarter from 23 yards out. Hoyt once again 6 yards out with 9:06 remaining in the second. And then Hoyt, I'm not sounding like a broken record. This is just how good of a game he had there in the first half with a 20-yard run from 6:51 remaining in the first half. Of course, the PAT is being good. And then capping it off, or not quite capping it off, was Matheny with an 8-yard score with 2:32 remaining. And then Carson Schreiner on the inside reverse crisscross is what he ended up calling it. And that's a great way to sum it up from 33 yards out for what ended up being that final score of the game. And little did we know it at the time with the way these two teams were going. But we talked on it. Once that running clock hits, that game's over in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, exactly. And, makes it tough for the team that's down by so much to have any type of game plan to try to get into it. But at 42-0 at halftime, I mean, there wasn't much that was going to happen. I mean, you would need a miracle to come back and win that. I mean, we've seen crazier things, but Tumwater was in firm control of this game from the early going. But like I said there in the fourth quarter, Capital season, they'll be fine. I mean, they played well last week, and they're going to look at the film from this week and move on, and they're going to do some damage on their schedule.
And taking a look at that team coming up. So Capital in their next game returns home to play Central Kitsap. That game is scheduled to play at 7 o'clock, so they'll look to improve on their 1-1 record with that one. And then Tumwater, they're going to be hitting the road for the first time, going off to face Aberdeen this upcoming week. A game once again also at 7 as they look to improve to 3-0 on the year.
Yeah, and that be a league game for Tumwater and get started with that. Yeah, if they play like they did tonight, I mean, they're going to be dangerous for anybody they face.
Indeed, and let's how about time for a couple of these MVPs to see what makes both these respective squads so dangerous for the remainder of the season. So first, let's do our visiting team MVP, brought to you by Pacific Sports Spa. Our visiting team MVP is brought to you by Pacific Sports Spa in Chehalis. Pacific Sports Spa can get you back in the game in a hurry and is the leader in rapid recovery and get you game ready at Pacific Sports Spa. So for the visiting Capital Cougars tonight, it was a little bit tougher because, I mean, when you get shut out, it's hard to find a lot of bright spots, but there was one name we were constantly saying all night, and it's got to be Jake Kennedy.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Kennedy is definitely Capital's MVP tonight. Runs hard. I mean, if he's down several scores and you wouldn't know it, he's just running harder and harder, and he's harder to tackle as the game goes on. So, again, definitely MVP for Capital.
And then taking a look at our home side of things, our home team MVP is brought to you by Thorbeck's Wellness Center in Chehalis, Centralia, and South Bend. Strong today, strong tomorrow, strong together at Thorbeck's. And on the home side, this one was a little bit easier, I think, just because he had such a good outing. Of course, that's got to be Peyton Hoyt with the 3 touchdowns. And just on those touchdown runs alone was 49 yards. And I know he had more than that.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be over 100 yards again tonight. His 3 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns last week, so I mean that put 6 in 2 games, so that puts him on a crazy pace. But definitely, I mean, I'd probably give an honorable mention maybe to the offensive line. I mean, he can't run through those holes, and some of those touchdowns he was completely untouched. So you definitely got to give some shout out to the linemen who usually don't get the credit, but they're definitely responsible for those touchdowns. But Peyton Hoyt's carrying the ball. 3 touchdowns. Easy call for me.
So congratulations to our 2 MVPs tonight. Once again, Jake Kennedy for Capital and Peyton Hoyt for Tumwater. Any final thoughts on this one tonight?
No. I mean, I thought we'd see a little bit more creativity out of Capital. But again, they got down so quick, it was over for them pretty quickly. And I think Tumwater, I can see, because I did the game last week, I can see the improvements they made in the running game. And if they keep that up, they're going to be dangerous.
I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with you. Tumwater looked like a team on the mission tonight. So, once again, off to Aberdeen next week. Capital going to be hosting Central Kitsap. Well, that'll wrap things up here for us tonight. Once again, from Tumwater High School is Josh Kaiser alongside Keith Clark and Kerry Clark. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, see you then on the Eli Sports and FHS Networks.
We're out.